The worst case scenarios that I can think of, it came to me when I was a teenager, and I was an idiot, and a lot of us started huffing. We started huffing butane gas, so we figured out that you could take a plastic bag and fill it up with butane gas. No one do this. No one do this. This is the dumbest thing you can do. Like, it was like, I can't believe that I did this, but I look back and just thank God that I'm alive when I think about this, and I feel so bad for my mom to think that I was like in my bedroom with industrial fuel, filling up plastic bags in front of my Commodore 64 and inhaling butane gas. And so one of these butane gas trips that I had, inhaling butane gas, and you get the kind of nitrous oxide helicopter like you get that time seems to slow down, sound becomes amplified, there's this crackling amplitude, you can hear the plastic of the bag like, and I'm on this fucking gas, and I guess you would call this hallucination. And I see a number line in my head. It's just like a line, a flat line. And I'm sort of moving down the numbers to zero. And I get to 0. And that's it. I'm consciousness, awareness, right? No body, no self, nothing, existing in a state of null for eternity. Just awareness with no other thing, existing in a state of nothingness. And the state of nothingness is an icy, cold, never-ending feeling of horror that goes on forever. So that's the worst case scenario. That when you die, that's what happens. You just go into a state of pure, never-ending H.P. Lovecraft existential horror that is undifferentiated and goes on forever. Worst case scenario.
That's the worst case scenario.
And I think that's what the Big Bang came from, is that worst case scenario. Because I imagine that the moment that nothingness, pure nothingness, absolute nothingness, that singularity before all things existed, before the Big Bang that all things exploded from, there must have been, if you look at the Kabbalistic tree of life, it kind of like maps out what would happen if a thing goes from a nothing to a something. So first there's the thing itself. Then first there's the singularity, the unnameable thing. And then that's the top of the Kabbalistic tree of life. And then that thing goes to being a something, right? And so now you have these two things that have happened. The thing is unfolded into a something, nothing to something. Even though a nothing is technically a something, but that's like a deeper subject to get into. But this compact thing that is all things explodes out into a something, and then that something, the third spoke here on the Kabbalistic tree of life, is the thing that has become aware of the thing, right? So now we have a matter without awareness, and then the thing has become aware of itself. And that moment the connection happens, it makes a triangle, the Illuminati, and then the moment that happens, it makes a triangle, and that moment, right? That moment of initial awareness, if it happened, where everything became aware of itself, but had no real form, no people, nothing to love, just a basic, vast, expansive state of awareness of the fact that it's a nothing, a infant, embryonic universe with no one to ask, like, hey man, how do I look today? Just like a fucking blank thing that knows it exists. That first state has got to be like, oh, fuck! And that was the explosion. That was the explosion that created suns and black holes and planets and eventually created all of us. And inside of us, we have that feeling, still, that's, if you really sit for a little bit by yourself, you can feel the original primordial scream of the universe happening in your heart. And so the best case scenario is that through this shattering that came from initial horror, if we can work on ourselves enough and turn the into a then we've healed the universe, and that we've healed the little sector of the universe that we are. And that if all of us could pull that off, and all sentient beings in all sectors of the universe can pull that off, then when the universe collapses back into itself, it'll go from being a scream of horror to an infinitely expanding, orgasmic state of bliss that goes on forever. So that's the best case.
Thank you.